Welcome to the Heart for God podcast. With many years of experience pastoring and helping to start churches, Dr. Jim Townsley has some practical and biblical advice that can be a great help to you and your ministry. On this podcast, Dr. Townsley and other guests with special expertise cover a variety of topics. His goal is to help you lead your church to be a healthy, strong, and balanced ministry, and for your family to be happy, healthy, and living for the Lord.
Okay, thank you for joining us today for our podcast. Once again, I'm still in Japan, and we have been here almost 4 weeks. We'll be going back on Monday. So not looking forward to the trip, but it'll be good to be back home, but we've had a great time here. So I'm with missionary Paul Johnson. It's in Aomori, Japan. He, of course, married our youngest daughter, Sarah, but he is now a veteran missionary. He's been here how long, Paul?
We've been here for 13 years now.
Wow, it's hard to believe, 13 years. So you're raising your family. Tell me a little bit about your children.
We have 5 children. Our first son, Timothy, is 14, so we had him on deputation. But the rest of our kids have been born since we've been in Japan, and so this is really the only life they've ever known. Growing up here in a foreign country, what we consider a foreign country is home to them, and so. Like I said, a total of 5 kids, 4 of them born in Japan or while we were on furlough. And so it's been definitely a different childhood than a normal, what I would consider maybe a normal American childhood.
So I guess in some ways, the fact that you're in more of even though the town of Aomori is a large city, it's sort of a country town. And you live up on the mountains, so it does give your children some space to be able to get outside and play.
When we were looking for housing, we actually made that a priority, trying to give our kids a chance to just get outside and play and have a space to run. And so, like I mentioned before, Aomori is a pretty big town. It's 275,000 people. So it's not a village by any stretch of the imagination, but it is much more country than Tokyo or Osaka. And then we live about 10 minutes outside of town. And so we have a lot of privacy, a lot of space, a lot of country to be able to let our kids roam free and give them some freedom away from pressures of school and just allow them to relax and be themselves.
Children are children wherever you go and wherever they live, but there are challenges in rearing children that are unique to the mission field, and especially in a country like Japan. Tell me about some of the things that perhaps you never thought about it, but have occurred to you since you've been here, or things you were aware of before you came.
Yes, trying to raise your children in a country that is so centered around idolatry is challenging. For instance, there are, just from a spiritual standpoint, I grew up in Sunday school, and all my friends were in the youth group and Christian friends, and we grew up reading the Bible and all these stories that I assume everyone knows from the Bible. But as our kids are growing up, we realize if we don't teach them Bible stories, they have no idea what these David and Jonah and Moses, they have no idea who these people are unless we're the ones that teach them. And so just from that aspect of it, from the spiritual aspect of it, that's been challenging because we are their only Christian influence in their life. And so that takes on an extra responsibility trying to raise children on the mission field.
A few years ago now, you had to make a decision about whether to put your children in a public school. Talk about that a little bit.
When Tim was in kindergarten, we were praying a lot about what to do for for schooling. We had options for homeschooling or public school, and we got a lot of counsel. We prayed a lot about it, and there were several factors that led to our decision to put him into public school. A lot of it was our desire for them to enjoy being on the mission field and enjoy their childhood. And we wanted them to be able to have somewhat of a normal childhood. And we thought being able to, first of all, learn the language because they're never going to be comfortable unless they're able to speak and be able to communicate. And so that was a driving factor, and also be able to make friends. And it was a challenging decision for sure. Japanese school system, obviously it's a public school, plus in a Buddhist country, it's not Christian by any sense of the imagination. And obviously the challenges that come with that really, again, fall on the parents to really try to be aware of what's being taught in their school and try to be able to help them as they encounter different philosophies, different religious teaching at school, to be able to share what, this is actually what the Bible says, and help them and guide them along in that direction. But it has been overall a huge, I believe, a huge help for our children. Timmy and Karen are now graduated from elementary school. They're homeschooling now in junior high. As we talk to our different counselors and friends here in Japan, one of the things that everyone mentioned is by about junior high and high school, that's where the societal pressures really amp up. And junior high, high school, in any age or at any country, is a challenging age, but especially in Japan. I don't know how far in depth you want me to go, but bullying in the Japanese school system is incredibly prevalent, and so actually the suicide rate for elementary kids in Japan is extremely high because of the pressures that are put on them from the parents, from the school system, from their friends. But it amps up even more as you get into junior high and high school. And so just the pressure to conform in Japan is incredibly high. Japan is a conformist country where everything is made based on what is best for the group, not as an individual. And so if you don't fit in to the group, whatever that group is, whether it's your classmate or your family or your workplace, if you don't fit in, then you will be bullied until you do conform. And so knowing that before we went in was helped us to temper our expectations as far as knowing what we'd have to help our kids navigate in the school system.
So if you isolate them and they're homeschooled all the way, it would be almost impossible to learn the language because you're learning yourself. So, but if they go to a public school, they're learning the language, but they're still an outsider. They're a foreigner. So they don't really fit in, but it helps to fit in a little bit, to learn the language, learn the culture. But they're also not learning English. They're not learning the things about America. And so I've seen young people come back from a mission field where they didn't know how to act in America. So they didn't fit in either place. So that's a very awkward thing. I think if you're aware of it, but boy, if parents weren't aware of it, it could be disastrous, I think, for children.
It is something that we are very aware of because you hit the nail on the head. It's our kids don't fit in anywhere. Like you said, if we decided to homeschool, they'd be isolated. Put them into public school, they have done a great job at making friends, but they're always going to be different. Obviously, because of their looks, they're the only blonde-haired people in their entire school. They're never going to be the same. They're never going to be looked at as Japanese, even though in their mind they think Japanese. The way that they think is very Japanese. but in their friends' eyes, they're never going to be the same. But because they think Japanese, when we go back to America on furlough, they don't really understand the society, the culture. It's funny, in America, it's a lot easier to make friends for them. I mean, typically, the Americans are much more outgoing, and the kids are, a lot easier and more friendly. But at the same time, I feel bad for our kids because they don't know the what is popular. They don't know what the kids are talking about, and so they are isolated in that way as well. And so I think every missionary struggles with it, but the third culture kid it's a real thing, and we do obviously pray for our kids even now, but it's going to be challenging as they transition back either to the States or future here in Japan.
And of course, practically, they're really not learning the English language, the history, unless they're really, really smart and they can do two at the same time. But that's enough just to go to school one time, but are they going to come home and do it again? So what you're doing is, in junior high, you've turned to English. So they've learned the language enough to communicate in Japanese, but they're catching up because they're behind they communicate in English, but there's so much of the English they don't know. So that's a challenge for young people because, here they are in junior high, but they're way behind where other students in America would be at that point. So they have to catch up on all that learning. So that's a challenge.
Yeah. So they go Japanese school through 6th grade, and by the time they get through 6th grade, their English level is about 2nd or 3rd grade level. And so, it's disheartening maybe as a parent. Are we doing the right thing? We have a lot of, self-doubt perhaps, but Sarah, my wife, is doing a great job at catching them up. But for instance, Tim, my oldest son, he knows a lot more about samurai warriors and, Japanese history than he does about Civil War or American Revolution. So he can tell you a lot about, the Meiji period of Japan, but he can't tell you, a lot about, Abraham Lincoln or, so that's, it's part of third culture kid, and it's something that we do struggle with.
But I guess on the upside of it, your family is very close because you have one another. Like that's a safe haven. You connect, but you're probably closer because they don't have outside influences. I think that's a good thing, a positive thing. So, any challenges that you were surprised about in raising a family on the mission field, some things that you weren't aware of that now you're aware of?
It's hard to say what is a challenge that would have been exclusive to the mission field, because parenting is a lot harder than I thought it would be, just in general. But certainly
True.
On the field, trying to balance, teaching them American culture, which we don't. We've been here, like I said before, 13 years now, and so we don't really understand what is American culture. And even if we did, I don't know that we'd want to teach our children that. But
13 years has changed a lot.
But challenges, a lot of it has to do with the school system. And I mentioned before bullying. And one of our kids did have some struggles where, at the beginning they didn't understand Japanese well enough to understand what they're supposed to be doing. And the teacher would give instruction to the class. Everyone in the class would do it except for our kid. Well, then that makes all the other kids gang up on him. They're yelling at him and wanting them to do what the teacher's telling them, but our kid doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing. And so navigating those challenges and just trying to
So they go to Makibara or kindergarten equivalent. They don't know really any Japanese. So they're sitting in class, and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Our youngest Charity just went into nursery school 2 months ago, and she's doing great, and she's learning Japanese. Our goal is to have them for 2 years in nursery school before they go into elementary school, because they just learn Japanese as they're playing with friends instead of trying to learn Japanese plus be in a classroom setting at the same time, and that would just compound the problems. But it's not without its challenges, and just learning.
Yeah. Another thing that I became aware of this trip since we've been here, so they come to church. Now, if they didn't know Japanese, it would be like they've never been to church their whole life, because they couldn't understand everything's in Japanese. But they sing songs all in Japanese. They never sing and never hear gospel songs, hymns. They never hear that. They wouldn't know basic hymns. So, I don't know how you overcome that, but I see that certainly a challenge.
Just recently, we went to youth camp, and they sang. I'll just throw a name of a hymn out there, "Standing on the Promises," or really famous hymn. And then about a month later, we were driving in my car, and this song came on the radio in English, listening to it, an English radio station, and one of my kids was like, "Oh, we know this song. We just heard it at camp." Well, it's a song that we would sing, or we would know it very well in American churches, but because we don't, it's all in Japanese, they don't know it in English at all, and so it's been really challenging. In fact, last Saturday, while we were cleaning the church, Charity was walking around singing just the chorus of one of the Japanese songs, but she wouldn't know it in English if you sang it to her, and so it's eye-opening as far as, if you want your kids to learn something, you have to be the one to teach them, because they don't have a Christian influence from anywhere else.
Yeah, and you've involved your kids to some degree, just not only at home and doing things, learning skill, but in the church helping, so they're part of being a missionary.
We do try to involve them as much as possible, and where they're able to. And we don't try to push them into doing things that they're not that we haven't prepared them for. But we do try to get them involved as much as possible, because we don't want this to be just mom and dad's ministry. We want them to be involved as much as they can be, and it goes back to this is their childhood. They don't know anything different, but we want them to enjoy the time that they spend in Japan.
Well, hopefully this is helpful. Some people are listening, and I think one thing that you can do, that I know you do periodically, listen to services now that are live streamed, so they can hear see American service. It's not the same as being there, but we do something every June, every Wednesday night. We do call it Children's Revival. But we sing children's songs. It's a way for, there's access to some things like that. And I'm sure that's a help. FaceTime to communicate with your family. So many more advantages now than there used to be.
We are very blessed to live in this technological age as far as that is concerned. But even things like, so one poignant example would be baptisms. Our kids have never, so our church maybe average of 2 baptisms a year. So it's not something that is very prevalent, but at the very beginning, I would talk about baptism. Our kids had no idea what a baptism actually looked like, and so we had to look it up on YouTube and show them, oh, this is what baptism actually is. Again, one of those things that I would see growing up every week, or and it was just normal, but it's just another aspect that if it's not taught or not shown, they don't learn it, and so that's been challenging.
Okay. On a lighter note, you live in the very northern part of the main island, Japan, so you average 25 feet of snow a year.
Yes.
More or less. Some years more, some years less. And you have monkeys.
Yes.
There's snow monkeys, and periodically they come through. We just saw one, 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
But you had a whole troop come through, about 20?
Yes, we had what do you call it? A troop. I was going to say flock, but that's not right.
Yeah. So they come through, raid your garden, cause havoc.
Yes.
But these monkeys don't look like innocent little monkeys you'd see in the zoo.
No.
They look like wolves.
If you Google Japanese snow monkeys, they've got the red face, and they look pretty fierce to me. But we didn't really feel like we were real missionaries until we had monkeys in our backyard. And so after that, we thought, okay, maybe we are on the real mission field. But physically speaking, it does. Yes, living in Aomori during the winter provides a lot of physical challenges. Full time, just clearing snow and just trying to survive.
With some great ski slopes, and children learn how to ski. That's a positive.
We try to make the most of the time that we have, and our kids all snowboard and ski, and so they all look forward to the winter, mainly because they don't have to snow shovel or clear the snow. But they're getting there. So.
Well, I appreciate you sharing some of these things, and most people don't realize these unique challenges that missionaries face. Think if they did, that would help people. It would help students when they come to college. That if people were aware, there's culture shock coming back to America after you've been on a mission field. Yeah. So if you have young people that come, they've been on the mission field, just be aware they face some unique challenges, unique things. Be kind to them, understanding, and try to be helpful. Well, thank you very much. It's been a blessing being here. We got 3 or 4 more days, and we'll be out of your hair. But
well, we appreciate everything that you've done, and we've really enjoyed the last few weeks. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to record this.
All right. God bless. Thanks for listening today.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, consider sharing it with a friend. You can also follow at Dr. Townsley on Twitter or on Facebook at Jim Townsley.